A child abuse story is getting national attention after a babysitter was caught on camera abusing an 18-month-old toddler.
It happened to a family in our area in Bedford County, and they say she wasn't just a babysitter, she was a close family friend. Good evening, I'm Mitch Carr.
And I'm Kate Capodanno. For the first time, the family sat down with our own WDBJ7's Melissa Gayona for this exclusive interview.
And Melissa, I know that you have been working on this story for years.
Yeah, so the family reached out to me, guys, about 3 years ago. I caught a call from Tyler and Madison Booth out of Bedford County telling me that they had video of their babysitter and close family friend, Carly Webb, abusing their 18-month-old daughter, Hazley. It was all caught on home camera system that they had in the living room, and they had hours upon hours of footage. And they assumed with so much evidence that this would be an easy case to prosecute. That was not the way things unfolded. We do want to warn you that some of the footage you'll see this evening is disturbing.
She could have killed her. That girl's going to serve 365 days, if we're lucky, behind bars. And she could have killed our daughter, who had no voice to speak for herself.
Tyler and Madison Booth are high school sweethearts, and this is the house they've lived in since they got married. They have 2 children and made many memories here, some good and some they'd like to forget. Nearly 3 years ago, Tyler installed a camera in the living room despite his wife's displeasure.
I remember telling Tyler I hated that camera being up there because I felt like it was just a sore thumb, but it points to our front door to, see who comes in and out, and thank goodness we had it, but I remember giving him such a hard time for having it up there.
The camera was on and operating, but the family never had a reason to watch the footage. As Hazley reached 18 months, both parents worked, so it was time to find childcare. Excitement grew once they hired a close family friend, 19-year-old Carly Webb.
It was like a sister, it was my parents were her godparents. Her dad was like a second dad to me. It felt like, couldn't have found anybody we trusted more.
When that option came about and when her family actually reached out and said how much, Carly would love to do that. If I don't have a family member who I, trust, she is the one person that I really trust. She was, sweet. She went to a Christian school. We'd known her whole, life. She came over here and hung out with Hazley a little bit and made us just feel so good that it was like this sense of peace or relief knowing that we had someone we knew coming to our house to keep her.
Hi, girl.
Then, one afternoon, Carly made an off-base comment about a camping chair.
That Hazley really loved this chair that was sitting right about where you're sitting. It was like a camping chair that you would take like a t-ball game that rocked. I got Madison for Christmas. We had left it out because the kids liked watching movies with it. And she said she really loved that chair. She sat in it for 2 hours today. And both of us thought that's funny, but there's no way. So didn't really think anything of it, but something that night just did not sit with me. And I had this feeling just go look at the cameras.
Did Carly know it was there?
Mm-hmm. She did.
Yeah,
it's very easy to see.
Yeah, it sticks out.
Never expecting abuse, Tyler simply thought, how do you get a child to sit in a chair that long? Tyler discovered his daughter was in the chair for 7 hours straight. Remember, Hazley is 18 months old.
When I saw that, I was like, there's something, not right here.
What kind of abuse are we talking about here?
Out of nowhere, Hazley's being quiet. Carly gets up and shakes the chair and tells her, shut the F up. What's going on? I haven't completely blindsided. This is the girl that we thought, I'd have bet you my house I couldn't get her to say a cuss word. She walks to the closet over there, grabs out a fruit strip, and walks over and smacks Hazley on the top of the head with it.
Watch as Carly takes Hazley's food that was prepared by Madison the night before, wrapping it into a paper towel, then throwing it in the trash. But things progress. Hazley is taunted, then hit with a toy gun. A moment that caught the attention of the judge in court, and it doesn't stop there. Carly puts Hazley into a tiny brown box, then kicks the box until it flips over. This footage would later be played in the courtroom, so devastating Tears were heard in the crowd.
You did not hear a peep coming out of that box. Your daughter never tried to get out. Why do you think that is?
Well, I know my daughter found the switch for survival, and I think she knew that if she could just be quiet and be calm, that maybe Carly would leave her alone. And I think that that was her way of protecting herself, was to not cry, not scream. But, you know, even at such a young age, she had sadly found out what to do to survive those moments.
The videos we've seen are tough to watch, but they get much worse. The family has chosen very carefully what not to show. Videos of Hazley being kicked with a soccer ball, then hit repeatedly in the face while crying and saying no. Moments where she's taunted and hit with a toy gun as she cries. Days where she went without food or drink and was never taken out of her bedroom until right before her mom got home from work. And moments where she's cursed and mocked and yelled at while she cries. In the courtroom, the judge said, and I quote, "I'm 73 years old and her yelling startled me. I'm holding in my hand the external drive. There are hours of footage of 18-month-old Hazley being abused, but there's no physical scars or bruises. And yet, with all this evidence, when it comes to the law, it's not enough."
If you watch the videos, you'd say, hey, there's 50 felonies in there. The way the law is written, there's one. Toy gun pointed at her head and bouncy balls bounced off her face. Diapers put in her face. Sitting at the end of that couch having a stuffed animal beat in her face, a plastic duck thrown against her head, standing right here where my feet sit, and a soccer ball being kicked into her face.
That's just a slight glimpse into the actual torture she was going through. There's videos of her screaming in her face and calling her vulgar names, taunting her around the house. You know, there's one video where she's like singing the Freddy Krueger like song, like just pacing around our daughter. You know, just extreme mental and emotional abuse that, one, you never want to see, but also never want to see your daughter going through. So it wasn't just physical, it was a lot of emotional and mental abuse that went on.
This is the moment where most parents would say what they would do if it were them, take matters into their own hands. A comment that stings Tyler and Madison because it carries guilt. Tyler admits he wanted to do what any parent might do and get revenge. But as he slept on the floor of Hazley's room and witnessed her night terrors while crying for her daddy, he knew his job was to be there when the nightmare ended.
I sleep with my arm through the crib on her back. Just wake up and tell her it's okay. I'm here. It's okay.
And even in the midst of his baby's darkness, Tyler credits her for saving his life. Instead of driving to Carly's house to confront her, he didn't. Instead, he called police, who came in the middle of the night. They left with countless videos that told a story Hazley never asked to be a part of.
They came out that night, took the DVR, and that turned into an absolute nightmare. That night, social services had to come here after midnight to see Hazley, to physically see her. I sat right here and had an interview with social services for probably an hour and a half. They founded the case very quickly to the highest degree, which was fantastic. If our justice system could have worked a quarter of that quick, we'd have had this done a long time ago.
2.5 years of back and forth with court dates and attorneys. 17 charges were filed against Carly Webb. She pled guilty to 5 of those, but Bedford County Judge James Updike found her guilty on all 17. And still, the person who abused their daughter was able to walk out of court that day and go home.
The final day in court. When you heard the sentencing and your immediate reaction.
It's insane to feel like you have a win when somebody did these things to your daughter is going to jail for a year. The sentencing guidelines were 1 day to 6 months, which is insane.
In 2023, Virginia reported over 50,000 children involved in reports of child abuse or neglect. Children like Hazley, who are under the age of 4, are at the highest risk. To put this into perspective, according to CASA of Central Virginia, a child is abused every 81 minutes, and a child dies every 13 days. Now, Tyler and Madison have a message for parents.
I do not care how much you trust a person. If it is your mother, your father, like if they are going to watch your kids in your home, you need to have a camera and you need to check them.
20 years from now, she'll be 24. How do you envision your little girl?
I just have this vision of her, and it might sound silly, but I can just see her standing in front of people in church or standing in front of people, giving her testimony, because she may not remember it, but even just at 4 years old, I see the strongest and just bravest soul that I've ever seen. And Tyler and I want to share this story because of our faith, and I think that'll be such a testimony for her to share her faith and what God brought her through.
Hazley's scars are invisible to most, but she's alive. She's safe now.
She'll still be such a bright light, and she'll be able to help other people and do whatever she wants to do, because like Tyler said, if she made it through that nightmare, I just think she could take on the world.
As for Tyler and Madison, who are on a journey to justice,
The judicial system that's supposed to protect our children, the innocent ones that can't speak for themselves, the recommendation that judicial system gave was 1 day to 6 months.
they say this isn't the end of the story.
There needs to be some legislation change.
It's where their fight truly begins.
Carly Webb received a 9-year sentence, but 8 years were suspended. She ended up with 1 felony count of child abuse, 5 misdemeanor charges of assault and battery. She was sentenced to 12 months in jail, but with good behavior could be out in 9 months with 3 years probation, no contact with the Booth family, and also not allowed to be in a supervisory role of a minor. However, as of March 20th, we've discovered that Webb has 30 days to appeal. The family strongly believes that the sentencing falls short of true justice.
Well, we want to thank the Booth family for being willing to tell them your story. We thank you for reporting it. It is disturbing. It is infuriating. And the thing I want to know most is, how is Hazley doing today?
A lot of people asking that question, Kate and Mitch. We do know that she still has night terrors, still wakes up scared and fighting, swinging her arms. She no longer sleeps in her bed. If you look in her bedroom right now, the bed is just filled with stuffies. You can tell Hazley hasn't been there in a while. She's sleeping between her parents every night, and she's in counseling, she's in play therapy, and every bit of the cost is coming out of their pocket, unfortunately.
It's a heavy cost to bear, not only, like we said, the emotional cost, but now that financial cost. And as you mentioned, Carly Webb, that babysitter, is behind bars right now, but she has that option to appeal within 30 days. So talk to me, what's that next step if she does file to go through that appeal process?
The family believes that she will definitely appeal, mainly because James Updike, the judge, we saw him in court. You know, you heard that the sentencing guidelines were only 1 day to 6 months, and if he gave her 365 days, he doubled that sentence. And so what's going to happen now if she appeals? They do believe she will. It doesn't negate the sentencing. The sentencing will still be there, but it does allow her to be out on bond while this case then goes to an appellate court. that means she could be out on bond while this process happens.
Okay.
And the family wants to change that. They want to change a lot of different things. They want to change laws regarding these things. So tell us more about that.
Well, they tell me if they can't get justice with Carly Webb's sentencing for their daughter Hazley, you know, from a legal standpoint, then they're going to get justice elsewhere. So what they're hoping to do, the goal is just to take this case to a bigger stage, make true changes with our laws and legislation. So children like Hazley, who are under that age of 4 and don't have a voice to tell you that they're being abused, can truly be heard. So they have a petition right now. We've put the link up on our web article on WDBJ7.com. Just click on this story. It's a petition for folks at home to sign so that your voices can be heard. And it's called Hazley's Hope, a call to action. They're hoping to take this in front of lawmakers and get just some heavier, stronger legal ramifications for those who abuse children.
All right, and we're continuing the conversation tomorrow. Melissa Gayona, thank you for doing this. Just tell people why they need to tune in for 7 at 4.
Well, tomorrow we're going to sit down in studio after the story airs with the family right here on WDBJ7. We're just going to kind of break down how they feel now that the story's out, as well as ask a few more questions of what's next and what will happen if she does get out on bond.
All right, the strength of the Booth family on full display.